We know people are pushing back. Fair Fight is pushing back. New Voices is pushing back. There are organizations all over pushing back. Give me, what do we tell the average voter that they should do, who may not be in an organization, who's just going to work every day, but wants to come out and vote, knows just how crucial this election is to our well-being and the well-being of our communities? What do we tell them to do?
So I would say there are three things. Number one is that we have to not only make a plan to vote, we need to use every platform we have to encourage everyone we know to make a plan to vote. And it sounds simple, but we all know folks who keep meaning to do something. But they never get around to doing it. If we send them to vote.org, send them to fairfight.com, make certain that they know what the rules are where they live and that they make a plan to vote. Make a plan and then make your backup plan. But know it and then share it. Create challenges amongst your communities to say, tell me what your plan to vote is, so that everyone is thinking about how they're going to navigate this, because they're counting on us giving up. They're counting on us being overwhelmed. They're counting on us believing lies. And so we need there to not only be truth, but we need a plan. And so that's the first thing. Make sure everyone has a plan to vote. Number two, make sure everyone has a reason to vote. We kind of skip over that part. Those of us who know that we're going to do this, we'll move heaven and earth. We've got to be worried about the folks for whom COVID-19 isn't a conversation on MSNBC. It is the question of whether they can stay in their house. And so they need to understand that we have to connect the protest in the streets, the collapse in our communities, to the policies at the ballot box. There is not a savior who will be elected to fix everything for us. But we know that demons will keep their place if we don't expel them. And the only way to do that in a democracy is through an election. And so we need to make sure not people have a plan to vote, but a reason to vote. So ask them, like, what is the thing you're most worried about? If you're worried about whether you're going to have a job in 2021, do you want the man who said he doesn't care if you work, or somebody who's willing to put a recovery plan together that will make certain that you work? We have to have a reason to vote. And that reason should not just be about the presidency. We know, those of us in the reproductive choice and the reproductive justice space, we know that it's not the president and the Senate we worry about, it's who our state legislators are. Because if Roe v. Wade is overturned, that returns to the states the authority to make decisions about our bodies, not the federal government, the state government. So use our moments to tell people what's your reason for voting. And if they tell you why they don't want to vote, don't fight with them and try to chastise them or shame them. Ask why. Listen to them. Give them space to be angry and despairing, and then just ask them to try one more time to see if better can happen. And then the third is, and it's not directly connected to voting today, but it is how we make certain we have power tomorrow. By God, fill out your census. Right now, Black communities are behind by up to 14%. And if they artificially end the census at the end of September, that means 15% of Black people could be erased from our story. And when we lose the census, when we're not included in the census, that means all the money for school lunches, for reproductive health issues, the extent to which this government cares about them, that money disappears. The money for hospitals disappears. The money for the roads in our communities disappear. The criminal justice reform money disappears. If they can erase our numbers, we lose our money, but we also lose our political power, because they will draw districts where they can say that Black people weren't affected because we didn't show up in the numbers. And like any story, if you're not in the story, then you're just an illusion. And if we want to be counted, we have to count ourselves in. And I've created an organization called Fair Count. If you want any information about making sure that the census gets done, please do that work, because we can't just wait for 2020 to save us. We got to save ourselves in 2021 and 2022 and 2024. And that means we have to fill out the census by September 30th. Those are the three things. Make a plan, have a reason, and fill out your census.